Hi everybody, my name is Doragon, and this is something a little bit different for the channel. This is a mobile phone review.
Back in February 2020, Samsung held an event for the world to unveil the S20 lineup. The top end of that being the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra, a phone that boasted all sorts of new features and to change the realm of smartphone photography. With space zoom, 108 megapixel camera, AI learning, fast LPDDR5 RAM. It was the greatest spec sheet that any mobile phone had ever had. Pre-orders for the device opened immediately and thousands flocked to Samsung's site to order this phenomenal phone or one of its two brethren. I was not one of those. I waited until March the 8th to place my pre-order. And the main reason for that was Mobile World Congress, which, granted, eventually ended up getting cancelled because of a certain viral outbreak. But I wanted to see what everybody had to offer, thinking that somebody else would come up to Samsung's level. But nobody did. Nobody's spec sheet matched, but all of their prices did. So when I was going to be putting my money down on a new phone because mine no longer lasted a day, Samsung won out and gained my money. I've now been using that phone since the end of March after receiving it, and this is my review of the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra.
Now, a big part of any mobile phone experience is your initial impression, and that's always the unboxing. This is the box that the S20 Ultra came in. It's a black box with black writing on it. It's not exactly a premium experience, but it doesn't last long, and then you're straight onto the phone itself. Well, some of us are. You'll have heard this many times, but one of the best parts of the S20 Ultra is by far and away that screen. All 6.9 inches of AMOLED display. Whatever content you're taking in, whether it's your home screen, a book, videos, or games, the screen is exceptional. It has rich, vibrant colours. It has brightness for any situation. And the size feels absolutely perfect for content intake. This phone and screen feel like they were specifically designed for mobile content devourers.
And this greatness isn't just confined to moving pictures either. Whether it's photos taken on the included camera module, those pulled from other devices, or the internet, the screen is really vibrant and makes everything pop. In such a manner that for someone coming from a Sony device, with the expertise that Sony has in screen technology, really blew me away. It is so easy to wax lyrical about this screen, but months down the line, when you're still blown away by it day by day, that is the sign of an excellent bit of implementation. Next up is that camera. Now for many people, they will have seen reviews from early on saying that the camera wasn't great, that all these boasts of changing smartphone photography were null and void because the sensor was too large. Well, I'm coming from a phone with only one sensor, a single 19 megapixel sensor on the back, and a single 8 megapixel sensor on the front. And that's what you have to realise. People coming into a phone like this are coming from those built in 2018. Whether that be the likes of the Sony Xperia XZ2 that I was using, or whether it's the likes of something a bit more fancy like the P20 Pro, you are still getting massive advancements in camera module, hardware, software, AI, picture processing. This does, for the general consumer, for the person using this phone, change the realm of smartphone photography. There are features on this phone that I never thought I would use. 100 times zoom, for example. The wide-angle lens. Having never had these before, they've never really featured much in my list of required features. But having used them, having had them at my disposal for the past 3 months, I don't think a smartphone could ever not have them for me in the future.
Okay, so this is being recorded on my brand spanking new Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra.
Using this camera since launch, I have seen massive changes in its ability. There were problems with auto-focusing early on, and that has been fixed. It's a lot better now. They've brought in new things like the close zoom to get a macro type situation. One of the big things for me when I was buying a phone though was video recording. Doing vlogs last year whilst out in Japan and looking to maybe continue that for other things down the line. I wanted something that was capable of recording in incredibly high quality and frame rates, and the S20 Ultra delivered that immediately, as you're seeing in the background here. This was my initial camera tests, moving from 30 frames per second to 60 frames a second on the front-facing camera. You'll also see me switch from the front to the rear camera in an instant. The fidelity of the phone is wide-ranging and quite varied. It gives you options in any situation. And for me, who creates most of their content on the phone, on the device that I am using, it's been an absolute godsend. It's been fantastic from start to finish. Even with the foibles that it launched with, software updates have fixed these, they've changed these. And I'm going to let these videos play out for you. I'll put up on screen what the frame rates are, what the recording quality is at that time, and then which version, when they were recorded, so you can see what update it was running on as well. But for me, the camera, it's been game-changing. And that means a lot.
So like it's having trouble focusing on me on this stage. See if I can get that to sort itself out. There we go.
The next point that I want to address is usability of the phone. Now this is going to mean different things to different people, and everybody's going to use their phone in a different manner. Not everybody's going to be a power user, not everybody's going to be a lightweight user. Now this phone, in terms of usability from just a device perspective, ergonomics and such like that, this is a massive phone. This is huge. We're talking a 6.9 inch screen, a 220 gram device at a 20.9 aspect ratio. This is big in the hand. Now I'm one of these people with small hands, and I find it incredibly difficult to reach the middle of the screen, let alone the top of the screen. Thankfully for someone like me, Samsung have included a lot of smart resolutions for using a phone with such a large footprint. There is a dedicated one-handed mode, which makes the screen smaller, so it minimises it down to an actual one-hand usable mode. Personally, I don't like utilising this one. I've paid for this screen real estate and I want to use it, but I want everything else to adapt to my hand to be able to make that happen. Now again, there are brilliant bits of software included here from Samsung. They have side gestures where your navigation bar, your back, your recents and your home, it can all be done with a swipe from the side of the screen. Many of the keyboard options out there allow you to put the keyboard off to one side and making it smaller, allowing for one-hand typing. With full screen gesture controls with Android 10, you can drag the notification bar down from anywhere on your home screen. There are plenty of options in the One UI software that allow this phone to be utilised by anybody single-handedly. And of course, if you want to, you can always place that second hand on there as well. As I've already said, usability means different things for different people. And for someone like me, it comes down to what can this phone do? There's a secret weapon in Samsung's arsenal called Samsung DeX. This essentially turns your phone into a full-fledged computer by plugging it into a HDMI-enabled device. You can pair up a mouse, a keyboard, and almost exactly replace your home computer, your laptop, whatever you may be using. Samsung DeX is so underused, it's so undermarketed, and it's one of the best features of any Samsung device released since the S9. It really should be pushed much, much more. I've utilised this for a lot of my video editing. What you're seeing now has partially been done on the phone itself and partially been done through the Samsung DeX program. And it just makes life easier. I can edit full 4K 60 frames a second videos on a phone. I can play full AAA games on a phone. The capabilities of this device are unrivaled. There is nothing else on the market that I can see that works in the same manner that this does. Huawei come incredibly close, but they don't have the Google support. And that is a crying shame. But they're only a year or two away from bringing a third player to the market, something that we drastically need, if you ask me. But for someone like me, for what I want to do with a phone, this has given me scope to go even further. It's allowed me to do things that I never thought were possible on a phone 4 months ago when I was still using my Sony XZ2. And I think that's what this phone has been about, really. In a lot of ways with the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra, Samsung have been their own worst enemies. They've promised one thing and maybe not delivered on that in the way that reviewers expected. I'm coming at this from a man who has spent £1,200, £1,200 on a phone. If you told me that that's the amount of money I would be spending 3 years ago, I would have laughed in your face and told you a few expletives along the way. But here's the thing. Phones have come so far that in the past few years, I've not had any form of home computer. I don't own a laptop, I've not owned a desktop for nearly 15 years now. Laptops I've not used since 2015 at the latest. So for the last 5 years, I've been wholeheartedly in the mobile scape of things. And after using this phone for 2 months now, I've finally realised that this is what it's for. This phone is the beginning of the future. It is the revolution that we've been promised, but maybe not in the manner we were all expecting. This phone, it's going to be the first one-stop shop for everything. It's going to be your laptop, your computer. It's going to be your games console, your mobile phone, your banking device. It's going to supply everything you could possibly need. And for someone like me, someone who loves tech so much, who loves the cutting edge, I think that's absolutely fantastic. So what's my verdict on the S20 Ultra? Well, I've spent a lot of money on this, so I want it to be good. And thus far, bearing in mind I'm using the Exynos device, I'm not even using the Snapdragon device, it has absolutely blown me away. The capabilities of this phone, I can't always put into words. I don't have the descriptive words to explain how it makes me feel, what it does for me day to day. I get excellent battery life out of it, more than 8 hours screen on time, regularly. The charging is so quick that if I'm using it even heavier, or if I'm doing like heavy video editing and rendering, I can charge it back up to full in less than an hour. The screen is phenomenal. The sound, the audio quality, the phone call quality, that is so often not touched upon in phone reviews, and it blows everything else away. The processing power, the versatility, everything this phone does, everything that I am able to do with this phone is fantastic. And for me, it's definitely worth that £1,200 asking price, because it does everything. Is this phone going to be the best on the market, the best that anybody can buy through the course of the year? Of course not. Some people can buy this phone and barely use 2% of its power. Others will buy it simply for the name because it's a Samsung, and that's not a reason to buy a phone, ever. You buy a phone because of what it can do for you, because of how far it can go with what you want to achieve. For me, wanting it to be my one-stop shop, that's what I've wanted phones to be for many a year. I've wanted all my streaming services on there. I've wanted all of my banking ability. I've wanted my editing and uploading for my channel on there. I've wanted my phone to be able to do literally everything. This phone right now is the closest that we have got to that. And I think for people like me, for those uber power users, the ones who want to use it for everything, the S20 Ultra cannot be beaten right now on the market. But there are so many people who wouldn't use half of what's packed inside this phone. And for them, that just means that they're wasting money when, for £300 less, they could get the entry-level S20, or even £500 less, get last year's S10 or the A71 5G. There are plenty of phone options out there, and it's all about what suits the individual at hand. If you are happening to be a power user though, the S20 Ultra in the real world, whether it's the Exynos or the Snapdragon version, is definitely a phone that you should be considering. I would like to thank you all very much for tuning in today. If you liked what you saw, please hit that like button down below and feel free to drop me a subscribe. My name is Doragon. This has been my review of the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra after 2 months of use in the real world. And until next time folks, take care.